The air inside the Good Morning America studio was supposed to be calm, polished, controlled. Instead, millions of viewers witnessed a storm breaking live on air. Lara Spencer leaned forward, her voice cutting, her questions sharper than ever. Across from her, Prince Harry sat steady, unshaken. She expected him to falter. Instead, a single glance, a measured silence, and one devastating reply would change the balance of power entirely. Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, veteran of Afghanistan, global advocate for veterans and mental health, and an outspoken critic of media intrusion. For years, he's walked the fine line between vulnerability and resilience, caught between royalty and independence. But today, he enters the studio not as a symbol, but as a man ready to defend truth. Facing him is Lara Spencer, seasoned co-anchor of Good Morning America, a journalist praised for her charm and polish, but also remembered for moments where her questions cut too deeply, where her confidence crossed into condescension. With decades of experience commanding a studio, she believes she can corner anyone, even a royal. But in this encounter, the balance of authority will shift, live, unedited, in front of millions. What begins as an interview will escalate into a confrontation and end as a takedown no one will forget. The cameras roll. Bright lights burn overhead. The world is watching. Lara begins with a cordial smile, asking Harry about his advocacy work, his Invictus Games, his new memoir. For a few minutes, it feels routine. Polished questions, polished answers. But then the pivot comes. Her tone sharpens. "You speak often about the dangers of the press," she says, leaning forward. "But isn't it true that without the media, your story wouldn't exist? Some would say you criticize the very machine you depend on. Isn't that hypocrisy?" The words cut deeper than the smile that follows. The audience shifts, sensing the turn. Harry exhales, calm. He begins to explain the difference between accountability and exploitation, but before he can finish, Lara interrupts. "But Prince Harry, you've profited from publicity, haven't you? From interviews, books, documentaries. If the media is so dangerous, why feed it?" The challenge lands. The atmosphere tightens. Harry meets her eyes, steady. His voice is deliberate. "There's a difference between telling your story and having it written for you," he says. A murmur stirs in the audience. Lara presses again, her words faster, sharper. "But some would say you've done exactly what you accuse others of, using personal tragedy for gain." The studio freezes. The tension becomes tangible. Every viewer knows they've just crossed into dangerous territory. Harry adjusts his posture. His silence is louder than her words. In that pause, the audience feels a shift. Lara expected defensiveness. Instead, Harry readies for something far more devastating. Harry leans in, his tone calm but edged with steel. "What I've done," he says, "is take ownership of my voice. What the press has done, repeatedly, is take ownership of my life." His words land like weight in the room. Lara counters quickly, trying to keep momentum. "But surely you see the contradiction. You condemn intrusion, yet you invite cameras into your home." Harry doesn't flinch. Inviting cameras is choice. Having them forced through windows is violation. One is consent, the other is theft. The line draws a sharp reaction, a ripple of applause, a gasp from someone in the audience. Lara blinks, momentarily thrown, but regains composure. She switches angle. "You've spoken about privacy, and yet your mother's story, Princess Diana, is central to everything you say. Some critics claim you're exploiting her memory, keeping her tragedy alive for your own platform." The words hang heavy. The audience stirs, uncomfortably. This is the strike Lara believes will end the debate, but Harry's face hardens with quiet resolve. He waits. The silence stretches, unnerving. Then, measured and fierce, he speaks. "My mother's memory isn't a tool. It's a warning. If telling the truth about what destroyed her protects even one child from the same fate, then I will speak every day of my life. And if you call that exploitation, perhaps you've forgotten the difference between honoring the dead and profiting from them. The crowd erupts in audible murmurs, a mixture of shock and awe. Lara's expression flickers, frustration, perhaps even regret, but she presses again, unwilling to surrender ground. But Prince Harry, the question still remains. Without the attention, without the spotlight, who would you be? Isn't it true that your entire platform exists because of the very system you condemn? Now Harry smiles. It isn't broad, but sharp. The smile of someone who knows the trap has been reversed. His reply cuts clean. Without that system, I'd be a soldier, a husband, a father. And maybe that's the part you forget. I don't need headlines to define me, but perhaps you do. The air fractures. Gasps, low exclamations ripple across the studio. Lara's composure falters. She shuffles her papers, forcing a smile, but the power balance has shifted. Harry is no longer defending. He is dismantling. Harry reaches under the table, pulling out a small folded document. Calmly, he places it on the desk between them. Since we're discussing credibility, he says, let's speak plainly. He unfolds it. A transcript of Lara Spencer's own controversial comments from a previous broadcast, when she mocked a young royal child's interest in ballet. The clip sparked global backlash at the time, criticized for its dismissive tone. Harry doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't need to. This is what happens, he says, gesturing lightly, when the press treats vulnerability as entertainment. A child mocked, a story twisted, a lesson in how cruelty is disguised as commentary. And yet here you sit, questioning my integrity. Lara freezes. Her practiced smile vanishes. The audience gasps audibly. She shifts in her seat, eyes flicking toward the camera, then back at Harry. He continues, calm, precise. I don't say this to humiliate you, Lara. I say this because the same system you defend doesn't just consume people like me. It consumes anyone it finds convenient, even children. Even your own words, when repeated, tell that story better than I ever could. The studio's silent, the weight of the revelation crushing the moment. For the first time, Lara has no retort. The audience sees it. The viewers at home see it. The power has shifted completely. Harry's voice deepens, steady, unwavering. The truth is this. I don't fear the media. I fear silence, because silence is how cruelty survives. And if I must speak, if I must use my name, my history, even my scars to keep that cruelty from winning, then so be it. I will never apologize for that. Not here, not ever. The studio breaks. Applause swells. The control Lara once held evaporates entirely. She sits frozen, stunned, her expression unreadable as the audience rises to their feet. The clip is sealed in that moment. Harry standing firm, Lara speechless, the crowd roaring behind him. Within minutes of broadcast, the moment is everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all flooded with clips of Harry's takedown. Headlines read, Harry silences Good Morning America host, the interview that changed everything. Harry destroys Lara Spencer on live TV. The viral moment isn't just the words. It's the silence. The shot of Lara Spencer sitting frozen, stunned into stillness, as Harry's voice echoes through the studio. The image spreads faster than anything else. Memes, reaction videos, threads dissecting every pause, every glance. In the hours that follow, celebrities tweet support. Advocates for mental health, privacy, and media accountability share his monologue. Critics of Lara resurface her past controversies, drawing parallels. The narrative is unstoppable. The next morning, Lara offers a brief statement on air, her tone subdued, attempting to reframe the clash as a difficult but important conversation. But viewers aren't convinced. Comment sections explode with reminders of her silence, her stunned face. The damage is done. Meanwhile, Harry's reputation in America solidifies. No longer just a royal abroad, he is cast as a figure unafraid to confront power, even in its most comfortable territory, a U.S. morning show studio. In the end, the confrontation becomes more than just television. It becomes a cultural moment, a clash between old media control and a man who refused to be cornered. Prince Harry entered the studio as an interview subject. He left as a force, reminding the world that calm composure can dismantle even the sharpest attacks.